the third and final day of competition here from beautiful Molveno in Trentino in the Italian Dolomites. My name's Jez Cox. I have Oliver Tonda sat next to me once again, as we are for the third broadcast this week. What an incredible week it's been here in Italy in the Dolomites at Lake Molveno, and we are here for the fourth and final time in this World Championship cycle before the race moves back to America and Ruidoso last year. We will miss these scenes immensely. What a place. Oliver and I are so lucky to be on the ground here in Molveno, right alongside the course where we have our Youth A competitors locked and loaded, ready to go for their World Championship. This is the second ever running of the Youth and Junior World Championships, and this is what happened last year in glorious sunshine on the final day of competition in Molveno too. By the way, I'm delighted to tell you the weather is exactly the same. It's unbelievable. It was horrible for the elites, and we've saved the great weather, just as we did 1 year ago, for these youngsters. And rightly so, because this is the future of XTERRA in front of us right now. The first race, once again, is the Youth A. That's the 14 to 15-year-olds. And they will get their opportunity to compete for a World Championship. It's worth me pointing out, by the way, all of these athletes had to qualify through their regional XTERRA races in order to be here as well. You're seeing some of the scenes of last year's very multinational competitors. And yes, that's the jump that was used in the elite short track race earlier in the week. They're using, in fact, both races use the short track course as part of them as well. That's the Youth A and the Youth B races as well. And these were the finishing scenes. André Plitz of Czechia winning for the boys. Apolline Rambu of Belgium winning for the girls as well in the Youth A. You're also seeing the Youth B and Junior winners there as well. You just saw Finley Goodman of Great Britain winning both the Youth B and the Junior race overall, and Mia Lantelme of France taking a victory in the Youth B category for the girls. Look at that. I'm going to stop talking, just look at it. Oliver Tonda, we're sat down there alongside that amazing lake in these amazing mountains. What a pleasure to be doing this with you again.
How lucky are we? Cheers, Jess. Really happy to be here with you.
It's been a brilliant week, hasn't it? It has been an incredible week. If any of you are watching this, by the way, for the first time this week, do go back on our YouTube channel. It will cost you nothing because it's free. All of this is free, and this will be one of the best triathlon broadcasts you see anywhere in the world this year. I can tell you that, and I'm not paid to say that. I'm telling you as fact. These are the highlights from this week's racing as well. The World Championships that were only yesterday. And look at the weather conditions as well, Oliver. It was really tough yesterday. We're looking at the women's race right now, and this issue as well for the British athlete. My goodness me. It was carnage out there on the trails, wasn't it?
It was an unbelievably hard day yesterday. We, as you said, Jess, we reserved a good weather for the young athletes today. We had an absolutely cracking race in both the men's and the women's fields. Laurent de Vuzon coming away with the win in the women's field. I'm not going to spoil the result for the men just yet because I have a feeling it'll be coming on your screen just in a moment. But it was an absolutely cracking and open race where we had tension up until the very final.
Yeah, both races were amazing, and we've just seen Laurent de Vuzon in her race having a crash on the descent as well. That's a similar, I think it is the same descent that's going to be used by our older of the youth and junior athletes, the Youth Bs and Juniors. Well, in the men's race we were watching this man, Felix Farissier, Mr. Consistent, Mr. XTERRA, always there, always on the podium, always winning the World Cup, but never winning the World Championship until yesterday. What a moment for him, and French dominating again.
You could just see how much it meant to him, and I know this is going to be the exact same for these youth races today. It's, you know, just because these athletes are a little bit older doesn't mean it means any more or any less to them. And I look forward to having a day filled with emotion, you know, ups and downs and dramatic racing, as always.
You're looking at a live picture. It is incredible at Lake Molveno, and unbelievable that once again the weather has turned in the favour of these youngsters, and well, it might do as well. We've turned up the nasty for the elites this year, some of the worst racing conditions we've had actually for them. And once again, it's turned out lovely for the youngsters, and rightly so. Let's have a look at what they've got to do. This is for the youngest of the competitors. This is the 14 to 15-year-olds. We call it the Youth A's. They have a swim of 400 metres, just one loop, and then they start on this fantastic bike course, which uses, well, it uses all of what we used for for the short track race earlier in the week, except they do this extension around Lago di Bior, which is the inlet, netted inlet on the edge of Lake Molveno. They then come back across, again, the short track course that you saw on Thursday when we had the final of the World Cup there, and they then retrace their step back. They do, hang on a minute, 2 laps of that course to give them 8 kilometres, and then they have a 1 lap, 2.7 kilometre run, which will be lightning quick, knowing how quick these runners are here. They run out to the waterfall, don't quite get to it, come back along the edge of the woods there, and then follow the road back along the beach again, as we saw the elites doing yesterday, and finish in our finishing tunnel as well. This is going to be quick. It is what we call the Super Sprint distance. 400 metre swim, as I say, 8k on the bike, 2.7k run, and they are it will be over before you know it, because we know the level and the quality of athletes. The boys, I'm going to call them boys, not men. In our official program it says men, but you know, they're 14 and 15. I think we'll call them boys.
I reckon we can do that.
Anyway, they are the boys going first, and the girls set off 3 minutes later as well. So we should have a decent sort of gap between the two fields, so we can keep reminding ourselves of them. And you're going to see the start list here as well. I'm a dad of a 10 and an 8-year-old, so they're a little bit younger than this lot, but I know that as some of you watch this, there'll be relatives, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, friends, supporters, triathlon club members, all that kind of thing, who are watching these names and looking out for the person you're supporting. Wherever you are around the world, if you are supporting someone in this race or the upcoming one, we wish you and them the very best of luck. We want everyone to have a great experience. Not everyone can win, but I'll remind you, all of these athletes had to qualify in their regional XTERRA races all around the world, and that's represented as well in the multinational start list we're seeing.
Not everybody can win, Jess, but everybody can have fun. That's really, in my opinion, what XTERRA racing is about. I love this aspect of the sport. I grew up racing a little bit on the road, and I know that sometimes the fields can be quite competitive, quite pushy. I know XTERRA is, you know, the environment's just so different. The community's so open, they welcome you with open arms, and it's really about having fun.
Well, as you might expect, we do not have in this, the youngest of the 2 youth categories, we do not have a returning world champion, because they have moved up. Actually, I say that, I'm talking nonsense here, because Apolline Rambou, of course, was one of the youngsters who won last year, and Apolline Rambou is back to compete again in this Youth A category as well, the Belgian athlete. Now, can she go 2 in a row? That's what will be interesting to find out. We will see on that front. André Plitz has moved up because he was one of the older ones, and that's what we need to stay on top of. Oliver, you're my stat man, so you can remind me if I'm talking nonsense.
I'm your resident Czech speaker.
Yes, you are.
So André is one of our best Czech triathletes. I remember seeing him racing in Czech at some of the local XTERRA events, and I know some of these guys, when they put in a really strong performance, maybe on one of the youth races, and this is, in my opinion, one of the biggest allures of doing some of these racing. They get kind of moved up for some of the shorter tracks. You know, I know some of these juniors and young guys got to race with the pro men, with the elites. Yeah. Same with the women. For example, in the
my goodness me! Right. Okay, so understandably, this being the youngest category, we've not gridded the start. It's not been seeded. I remind you again, all of these athletes have had to qualify through their XTERRA, whichever XTERRA races they've competed in, and some of them have completed in many this year in order to get here as well, because we now have a youth series as well. And that's how they qualify to get into this World Championship. And there's a bit of pressure going on there. I know, Oliver, we're going to be turning up the fun. We're going to be turning up the enjoyment of our great sport. Right now, as we look along that line, though, quite a lot of nervous youngsters as well. And they'll be happy now to just get into the stream of things as well. Here we go. So there's no Australian exit. There's no loop round at all. They are going out and back, effectively 200 metres out, 200 metres back. And that is a big field battling its way towards that boy right now.
I have a feeling we're going to see similar scenes to what we saw on the men's short track. And that is going to be a big group just fist fighting it out at that boy on those right-hand turns. It can be really difficult if you're not a front pack swimmer, if you're not leading the race, just maybe sitting on somebody's toes, you know, making that turn 90 degrees. Try that in the swimming pool sometimes.
Yeah. You
lose all your speed. Somebody can just easily come onto you, you know, pull you. obviously we always want to race clean, but sometimes, you know, you don't know what's around you. You can't really see. There's a lot of white water, a lot of whitewash. It's complete carnage to start.
What great shots as well. I just can't believe the weather's turned up just as it did 1 year ago for these youngsters. It's absolutely perfect. The Italians have organised this deliberately, I'm sure. Turn up the nasty on the Saturday for the elites and then make it beautiful on the Sunday, just like that. And look at Lake Morveno once again as well. This setting has been incredible for this, the 4th time now that we've been here. And this is, we have to remind ourselves, this is the first time, these 4 years are the first time the sport has come away from Hawaii, from Maui, where it all started way back in 1996. We were hearing from Conrad Stoltz yesterday about the early history. Of course, he was a big part of that history, the South African, the caveman. He's going to be back in the commentary box with us today. He's actually been at the start preparing and infusing some of these youngsters. Talking of that, some of them are missing the buoy, Oliver, look.
Yeah, here we go, Jess. This is going to be complete carnage on that right-hand turn. I see there's a kayak.
Oh.
Yeah, an athlete having to correct their line there.
Yep.
But yeah, hopefully, so far it seems like everybody's taking the right line. No mistakes being made there too badly, but that turn's a complete carnage.
Yeah, it's a big field, isn't it? And that's actually, I'm pleased to say, that's the biggest field in our World Championships events we've seen this week, other than the age groupers who competed yesterday afternoon. And some of you will have enjoying seeing the finish line, because we did have a camera on the finish line. That was the moment where they walked to their start positions. None of that, of course. This is going to be a good race.
Here are the women. You know, once we get some more shots of the men's swimming, I want to just highlight some of the form that these athletes have. You know, these athletes coming from a road background, they just have incredibly strong swim, and yeah, that's something that maybe puts them up there with our elite athletes. I know somebody like Ondřej Plitz and Maciej Homola, who's racing here as well. Looking at their splits from the Czech short track, I mean, they were 6 seconds behind Artur Serrier, who, you know, got 3rd place yesterday. That's an incredibly fast swim.
That's amazing, isn't it? Just to remind people, today we have effectively 3 different age categories, boys and girls, men and women, depending on which way you want to look at it. These are the youngest of them competing in what we call our Super Sprint distance. So these are the Youth A, the 14 and 15-year-old girls who now dive into the crystal clear bluey-green waters of Lake Morveno in the Italian Dolomites. Some of them doing it for the first time, others returning, including Apolline Ramboux, the French woman, Belgian woman, I should say, who is coming back to defend her title. Last year, we had a Belgian winner in Apolline Ramboux. Isla Widdowson of Great Britain was the silver medalist, and Mia Lee Maysep, the Estonian, had an issue during the race, didn't she? But she took bronze.
Yeah, let me just jump in really quickly, Jess, and highlight some of the swim form here on some of the athletes.
Go for it.
It can always be a bit of a difficult question choosing what type of swim form you want to use right at the beginning. Whether or not you want to have a really fast arm turnover, trying to push the first 50 meters just to get a little bit of a tiny gap and get into a really fast swim group, or whether or not you want to do what we see some of the top boys doing. It's just this really nice open water stroke, you know, quite conservative. Obviously, these guys are going, you know, swimming much faster than I could ever swim, but it's just this beautiful style of swimming where you don't turn over too much. You can kind of really alternate based on where you are in the swim. Also, something I don't know if you've been taught as a duathlete, probably not.
Mate, you're talking to a total. I can swim to save my life. That's about it.
One of the most interesting tips I ever got was when you're coming out of the swim, because you've been activating a lot of your upper body, you want to activate your legs a little bit as well. As we see some of the carnage on the women's side, you want to start kicking a little bit more, just to get that body ready for some of the performances that it's going to have to put out on the bike.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of breaststroke there. In fact, we can see it again here from some of the swimmers, understandably. Just as they see the inflatable buoy there, they know they've got to that point. There's 2 of them. It is a kind of flattened, it's a rhombus, isn't it? They're effectively swimming. It's got a kind of narrower top end and then a wider base to it as they come back to the beach. Some of these swimmers here, right at the front of the field, of course, will be looking to get as much advantage as possible before they get onto that bike course. And I would say, Oliver, as we see the boys getting ready to come back in, There is an advantage in the super sprint this distance, I think, to being at the front, because once they get onto the technical features on the grass there's not a million places to overtake either. It's not like they've got the long climb up into the Dolomites that the youth Bs and juniors will be doing. This lot are staying on what is effectively, it's a really fun technical course. It's basically the course we used for the short track earlier in the week, but it's not unlike a cyclocross course, is it? It's got steep ramps up and down, some off-camber grassy bends that are now slick and a little bit muddy in places, and some features as well.
Exactly as you say, Jess. I would actually compare this to the men's race. You know, you see Jens Miloslav Nielsen, depending on where they come out of the water, he might have a lot of traffic in front of him, and people who, you know, are holding him up a little bit. And so the water doesn't lie. And if you're a good swimmer, if you're a good athlete, then you'll be in the front and you'll have a chance to race for the win. If maybe you are lacking a little bit in the swim, you can always try to make that up on the bike, but you really have to be a step above the other athletes.
So Lorenzo Cocchi is the first athlete in the Italian. Two Italians actually leading in, Tommaso Frisi, just ahead of a Portuguese athlete, Dinis Cabral. Now, we're going to do our best to run you through all these names. Alessandro Campagna and Pietro Ciccarelli for Italy are the next in, so understandably on Italian home ground, they are right up there. Bastien Lambertier is the Swiss athlete in sixth. All of these athletes wearing wetsuits. Lake Morveno, beautiful as it is pretty cold all year round because it's a mountain lake. We're at moderate altitude here anyway. They're actually, at the moment, they're at about 700 meters above sea level. The mountains above them go well up beyond 2,000 to 2,500 meters as well, so it's usually pretty cold.
And I think, Jess, I'm currently winning the competition between you and me. I think there's a Czech athlete, Adam Šiška, in front of any GB athletes. So
come on, the Brits.
Just keep an eye on that competition.
Just to remind you, though, actually, yes, the Czech athletes won the boys' race in this category last year. The girls, though, we had Isla Widdowson, the British athlete, in second. Well, we'll see how that competition goes. We'll keep that little tab going, shall we, as we watch them heading out. We will do our best to pick up as many of these athletes as possible, but that's why, unlike our elite races in the week, we're going to keep some of our cameras locked a little bit more on the athletes as they're coming out of transition, because I do appreciate there will be a lot of people supporting a lot of these athletes here. And here come the leaders. Now, you'll recognise this bridge from the short track race earlier in the week that the elites competed on. There is chicken wire spread down on the entry and exit point of that. Thankfully, things have dried out a bit, but all of the wooden features are still a bit slippery. We saw that yesterday in the elite races, on the run even, didn't we?
There was a lot of standing water yesterday because of all the rain that we had, and that can really wreak havoc in on such a muddy course. As here we see a really big difference between, I believe that is Bastien Lambertier, who is coming into the lead, and he seems to be just powering off on this flat section just before we get into his first climb.
Now, that's not a great surprise. He was the bronze medalist here 1 year ago, the Swiss athlete, and he's also this year's European champion as well. So he wants to use his strong bike leg to his advantage. I think we should now be looking at the ladies.
Yeah, these are front girls, and so let's see which one of them comes out first. And just as you mentioned wetsuits, Jess, I was going to say, oh, we have beautiful sunny weather today. These athletes might as well do it without a wetsuit. That's not true. The water is actually colder than it was yesterday. Yesterday we had 17.4 degrees, I believe. Today we have 17.2. So there's a chilly morning in the lake for the athletes.
I think there's a good reason for that, because lots of the athletes have been out enjoying and taking photos of the many waterfalls that spill out into Lake Morveno. Of course, it takes a while for all that rainwater that's fallen at 2,500 meters up there at the top of these climbs around here to make its way into the lake. And it's no surprise, therefore, that it gets cooler as the days go by, despite the fact the sun is out today, and it is a stunning day here in Morveno. These are our leading young ladies coming out in the 14 to 15 category, Youth A category, what we call the Super Sprint distance. And they've completed their opening swim of 400 meters.
The first girl out of the water is Sofia Jadudova from Slovakia, followed by Lara Lovisi from Italy. You're winning the competition among the two of us.
Yes, we are. Daisy Gilday
in third place, but followed very close by Valeria Chalupnikova from the Czech Republic.
I'm glad you did that one.
The sister of who is currently leading the men's race, Chloé Lambertier from Switzerland, in third, and Milena Linda in sixth.
Right, so a bit of sibling rivalry there between the Lambertier athletes as well from Switzerland. Will we get a Swiss winner? That'll be interesting to watch. Of course, we've already had a Swiss winner this week in Loan Duvoisin in the elite races. The first athlete, Loan Duvoisin, to break the French stranglehold on Malveno in the last three, well, the fourth and final year that we're here in the Italian Dolomites. Right, here goes Bastien Lambossier, who is in the lead, the Swiss athlete, and he is cracking along on this bike course as well. Don't forget, it is 2 laps. He's on the edge of Lago di Bior at the moment, so he's gone all the way up to where there's a moderate waterfall, beautiful one, but it's a steady flow down into Bior. This part of the lake is netted, and I believe it's netted partly because all the local fishermen like to go, and women like to go and sit along the edge here and see what they can catch in that kind of enclosed netted area up there. It's beautiful, much stiller waters, and very, very cool up there too. Right, here comes our leading ladies.
I believe Bastien is trying to catch a world championship title. That's what he's trying to do right now, and he's putting down some serious power. It seems like he's a really strong athlete, just, you know, judging off of his body build. For being 14 or 15 years old, that's putting down some really impressive power.
Right, we've now got a new leader taking over for Italy, Lara Lovisi, who is leading our Youth A girls race at the moment. This is our drone shot. Oh, look at the conditions down there. It looks stunning. And it is slowly starting to dry out, but it's slippy and greasy, isn't it, as well? Lovisi here is pumping her way out to the far end. This is where she takes on that part of the short track course that we saw the other day. In fact, we can see some of our gentlemen there making their way down the log drop, as I call it, into that slatted wooden berm at the bottom of the course.
This course is going to be really tricky because in sections it's going to be really dried out and quite fast, but other sections are going to be, I imagine, really muddy just based off of all the traffic that we had yesterday and all of the athletes in the rain.
Right, just while we watch this, here we go. Right, this is onto the log drop. You've really got to get your weight back, pump the front wheel over it. There is a B line. I've unfairly in the elite race called it a chicken line, chicken run. That's very much a mountain bike thing, isn't it? I won't use that term today. I don't think it's not very fair. I don't think we'll see too many athletes taking it actually, because we've got a lot of very skillful mountain bikers in this field. Back to our leader though in the boys' race.
Yeah, this is Bastien. He's coming off of the short track course at this point, I believe, just to go onto the course that has been designed for the athletes.
Yeah, and they are using a slightly different configuration because they have an extension. I'm pleased to say that these Youth A athletes are doing today that the elites didn't do. It's been reserved specially for them, in actual fact, on the far side of the grassy slope, and I really like it. Once again, I went and ran around it last night just before it got dark to make sure I knew exactly where they were going. That's the dip onto the edge of Lago di Bior. They go under the road bridge, which leads, well, eventually in the direction of going down the valley effectively away from the Dolomites in towards Verona, that direction, that road. But at the moment, none of that here because this is our leading women heading out onto their lap around the edge of the lake.
Even though this course can maybe seem a little bit flat on the surface, I'd say it has its own difficulties. You know, it's really going to be dependent on some short intervals that these athletes are going to have to do. Just coming into these corners, as you saw our leader Bastien, he took a 90-degree corner, has to sprint out of it, full brakes, 90-degree corner, sprint again. That takes a toll on the body.
Yeah, well, we might be picking him up here, I think, as he comes back. Here he is. He has shredded this course. No, sorry, I do apologise. This is second place as well. Lasse Paul Rother, the German athlete who took a silver medal in the European Championships this year. So this race going to form at the moment. Lambertier here, the leader for Switzerland in the boys.
Yeah, he's just coming into our first lap here, just to finish it. We'll have some good splits just to know who is sitting pretty and who maybe has a little bit of time to make up. He's on the short track now.
He's onto the pump track, isn't he? There's a fantastic pump track that they use more than the elites did, actually, I think, if I remember correctly.
There's my favorite, Adam Shishka, who is currently, I think, winning our conversation for the two of us.
We're not allowed favourites. We do not have favourites, Oliver. Retract that.
Well, he's representing my nation at the moment.
Of course, if it's a British athlete, we're allowed favourites, right? Just
cheers.
to be clear.
Cheers.
If any of you are watching this and you haven't seen too much of what we've done this week, where on earth have you been? It's been a stunning week, starting with the short track races on Thursday and then those Elite World Championships yesterday. Oliver Tonda sat alongside me. My name's Jez Cox. It is our great pleasure to be sharing this with you the second ever running of the Youth Championships as well. I have sat alongside me Steve Andrews, who was in the commentary box with us yesterday. Steve is in charge of everything XTERRA in the Americas, and is always here with us as well in Molveno. Steve, what another inspiring one to watch, but it's different this year. I had this conversation with you last year. This year it's a bit different though, isn't it? Because we now know we're going to Ruidoso in 1 year's time in New Mexico, and we're going to be taking everything XTERRA and hopefully all these athletes and ourselves to go there and enjoy it all as well. It must be a really inspiring one to watch.
Have part of our principles of value, caring, authenticity. It showcases within these events we have, specifically like in Molveno, knowing that Ruidoso shares our same values is going to be a successful event, and that's what's key to here in Molveno and all the partners is that the values match, the embracing of the culture that what XTERRA brings shadows their culture, and so it creates a magical experience. And beyond the racing, it's the overall energy that is created, the feeling of the families, participants, everyone involved. It's, like I said, it's more than the event. It is absolutely key. One thing that I like to highlight, number one, we've talked about racing yesterday, but it's watching these youth, how inspiring it is to see the youth field grow. That is our future of sport, and enhancing the brand awareness, brand engagement. That is involving these kids, young men, young women that are racing. And how great to see our future and longevity. We always talk about sustainable approaches. What you're seeing right now is our sustainable future. These are our future athletes, whether they continue on in endurance sports, but they are future generations of multi-sport or endurance athletes or outdoor enthusiasts that supports our lifestyle brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to those of you who are watching at home, if when you were watching them getting ready to dive in, you thought, man, I recognise some of those faces, the reason you recognise them might be from watching last year's World Championship maybe, but more likely, with recency going about this, it was from the finish line of the elite races yesterday. Yes. There's a really good reason why we saved the youth races till last. They get to watch the elite World Championships yesterday. They will, these girls will have seen Loane Duvoisan overcoming that late crash, overcoming her difficulties and battling her way through in those muddy, wet conditions to win yesterday. They'll have seen Barbara Rivera stripping off layers and desperately running to try and catch them. And it inspires these young athletes. It's definitely the right way around to do it, I guess.
Jazz, and what I would say, how inspiring is to see the elites that finished yesterday now taking over that other role of cheering them on out on the course. Seeing Conrad, we talked about him. Seen him on the camera already a couple times a day. He's out there not only coaching, but supporting and giving tidbits and giving back to these youth. That is what, to me, is what this is all about. And then to see these guys racing and the opportunity for the three age groups that we have, the youth A, the youth B, and the juniors we'll see today, to be able to see them grow, and it's very inspiring.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Steve, next year as well, crucially, is the 30th year of XTERRA, so going all the way back to 1996 when those hardy road-going triathletes gathered for that Aquaterra, as they loosely called it then. It became XTERRA. It's going to be a special celebration next year, isn't it?
You know what? To be honest, it is absolutely magical to be able to bring XTERRA back, celebrating the 30th year, rooting back to, where not necessarily where it started, but where, in the Americas specifically, now on homeland soil in U.S. But with that being said, this is started as kind of a regional event, and now this is a global phenomena. This is not just a race, it's an experience, and it is spread across the globe. And to be able to bring it back to Ruidoso is extremely special. The other element is that where you'll hear the term culture and heritage. That is going to be a big focus for moving forward, specifically next year's event. It's the fact that we're embracing our rich history, and we have to look in the past to be able to grow to the future. And what great legacy participants and athletes and champions we've had in the past. But I also look towards the future, what we're seeing today. Again, I'm going to revert back to the youth. This is our future. This is the energy that's going to sustain global sport, and having to see the families here, not just typical numbers for the age groupers or the elites. You have 1 to 2 people support. Families are here to support. They're coming out 5, 6 people, and they're camping, and it's generational families supporting these youth, and that is what's special. So back to your statement of Ruidoso, Absolutely brilliant. We're excited to celebrate the future, the culture, and welcome everyone, the athletes, families, and all of what's happening. And I also don't want to overtalk because there's a lot of great racing. And as you know, you've always cut me off. I can talk for hours. And so, Jazz and Oliver, I will respect you and let you take on the speaking because they don't want to hear me. They want to hear you.
Steve, thank you for being here. And thank you. Pleasure to have you and Eddie Ryan here as well, representing the whole Ruidoso program. And we just can't wait to be there next year. I hope Oliver and I are there together on the ground. We're not going to hold you to that, though. It depends how badly we do today.
I will let you know. I will. Yes, you can hold me to that.
Oh, okay.
I just want, on behalf of XTERRA, thank you both for your passion. Thank you for your commitment, not only announcing, but adding the energy, the fire that we're delivering so that people feel the energy, not just here at the event, but across the world that are watching this event. It is near and dear to us. And so on behalf of XTERRA, heartfelt gratitude. Thank you. Oliver, welcome to the team. We see what you've done with all your Instagram, your passion you've shared. It does not go unnoticed. And Jazz, you are the fire. To watch you two is extremely humbling. So thank you. Thank you for letting me come into your booth today, you guys. Carry on, as I always say, that people hear this all the time, onwards and upwards. We've got this.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Steve. Thank you very much indeed. So the voice there of Steve Andrews will be an integral part, of course, of that 30th birthday celebration that we're going to be having in the USA next year as well. It's going to be brilliant. Right, let's get back to this World Championship right here, because we're on the second lap of this bike course. Oliver, what is going on? It looks like it's coming back together, particularly in the girls there.
We have a group of leading women. We have Laura Lovisi and Chloe Lambatien, and I think another Italian girl fighting it out for the top spot right now. We saw Mina Lee actually.
Oh, that's a big slide. My goodness me, that's where the courses come together as well. It's the boys overlapping with the girls as well. Our leader there, Bastien Lambertier, great bike handling, locked up and got a rear wheel slide on there, Ollie. That was impressive.
And he's getting ready to come into T2, take off those shoes, and watch this transition. I have a feeling that some of the elite athletes could learn from these youths. I mean, look at this, Jens Emil Sloff-Nielsen. This is where the race was decided on the short track, and I have a feeling that Bastien is about to put up a masterclass in how you do transitions.
And this is so good to see, because he came to this race 1 year ago and took bronze. We want to see the progression of our best XTERRA. We want to see the progression of all of our XTERRA athletes, including those racing in the even much older age categories yesterday afternoon. Here he is, and I tell you what an elite level performance we are seeing from him today. He's onto the pump track. He's already got his shoes out. He's already got his feet out of his shoes already. He is riding in, ready to absolutely, I suspect, scream through this final run as well. The run is not as technical as we've had in the elite races. They don't go into the scrambly bits in the woods, but it is almost all off-road, and he's got to come back along the beach too.
What it may lack in some technical element, it makes up in speed. This is going to be a really fast course. I expect that these athletes are exactly suited for this type of racing. You know, this super sprint format is just what they need at this sort of age. You know, they're explosive, they're fast, and they're furious. I have a feeling that, you know, maybe some of the athletes behind Bastien here might still try to push him. You know, we might have some really good runners in the field, but here he comes into transition too.
And we want these youth athletes are in a world championship. They won't be allowed to get away with any rule breaking, so they have to dismount before the dismount line, the entry to transition. They have to hook the bike before they unclip the helmet, and everything has to go neatly back in their box. If it doesn't all go neatly back in the box, they'll find themselves with a penalty as well. We don't want any of that in any of our World Championship races, do we?
Exactly as you say, Jess. Here, you know, it's going to be really interesting to see if Bastien maybe has overcommitted on the bike. You know, we saw him really sprinting out of some of those corners. You know, has that taken a toll? Let's see how he takes these steps now.
Yes, I think it's sensibly there as well. He's had a little look back. He can calm this down. If he goes out too hard, and I know this very well as a duathlete, an ex-duathlete myself, if you start that run too hard, you can pay for it, even over 2.7 kilometers. So over-enthusiasm here heading out is the way to get cramp or issues like that. We don't want anyone to have it, so they've got to keep it steady on the way out.
And here we have the two chasers. This is Mattia Akanfora and Paul Rotter from Germany. Both of the guys are really close by in transition. This stuff can get really hectic, really fast, but here we see Rotter with a really fast transition, and he's out onto the chase.
And our leader after the swim is now into transition, but down into 7th as well, Lorenzo Cocchi, the Italian. But we have now 3 Italians in and heading out onto the run. I think it's still close enough, you know, Oliver, for there to be some gaps to be closed down. I know it's only 2.7 kilometers, but the strongest runners in here will be absolutely set on charging it down. But they must must not start too hard.
Exactly. They must not start too hard, but somebody who's been going really well so far is Adam Šiška from the Czech Republic, and he is still representing my nation to the fullest.
It's funny you should say that, isn't it? No pressure on him, but, you know, we're totally impartial here in the commentary box, by the way, folks.
Absolutely professional and impartial.
Right now, though, in the men's race, the boys' race here, we have no Brits in the top 10, so I've got nothing to cheer on, and I might join the Czech bandwagon, perhaps. What a multinational top 10 for this first of our Youth A World Championships. You've got a Swiss athlete leading from an Italian, a German, Portuguese, another Italian, Czech, Italy, South Africa, Portugal, Belgium, Germany, Portugal. Check it out.
What an awesome mix. And just to show how close this race really is, yes, Bastien has currently about a 30-second gap on second place. But then if you look second to seventh place, they're all separated by 30 seconds. This race is completely up in the air.
Oliver, I'd forgotten to mention this. This is a hard part of the course. Again, our camera here, following him on the e-bike, is not giving an indication of how steep this is, and he's sensibly shortening his stride and just stepping up it very gradually before getting on back on top of it. That is a place, by the way, if anyone tries to rip up there too hard, they'll pay for it on the flat, because there's a sudden change then of cadence. He kicks his heels up behind him, starts to get into his flat running speed, totally different from what he's just done. If any of these athletes go too hard up that, I think they'll pay for it.
Oh.
Talking of which,
thankfully that didn't end up too poorly, but yeah, you were making a great point there. The type of cadence that these athletes sometimes have to choose in some of these conditions can be really different, but this is a really nice running style coming out of Bastien. Maybe a little bit, you know, more prolonged than we've seen from somebody like Jens Emil Nielsen. The hands are, you know, relaxed by the side of the body.
There's no velociraptor going on there.
No velociraptor running here.
Okay, so this is now looking back to, well, a little bit further down the field. Let's see who we're picking up here. I think this is a bit further down. Could be just outside the top 10. We're going to try and find, this is our, well, we're being told on the screen this is our chase group as well. So I think we've got some who've moved through a very, very fast transition there as well.
That was place 1 to 3, so all of those guys are close together and they are working together to try to chase down Bastien. I believe that was Mattia Canfora, Paul Rotter, and Alfonso Silva from Portugal. Really strong athletes.
Yep, no, this is good. That's great. So our camera biker here having a sense to look back. Bastien Lambertier here as well, also looking back. You're right. His running style is much longer and slightly more kind of loping, long strides, but it's very, very effective. I would say watching it, we'll check splits afterwards, it looked to me like his bike was the dominant discipline for him, because he absolutely crushed that bike leg. And look, we've got a formation here now of a chasing group between Mattia Acanfora, who is, I think, leading here as well, and it's Lasse Paul Rother, the German athlete as well. Rother in the red here at the back. And the Portuguese athlete there is Afonso Silva. Silva just closing up behind Acanfora. There'll be a lot of support for Acanfora and Frizzi, the two Italian athletes who are in that top 5 right now. But yeah, he's running a little bit scared, dare I say it, Lambertier.
Yeah, Bastien has a lot on the line. You know, this can mean a lot to a young athlete like this, getting a world championship title. So looking behind it, it's completely understandable. But at this point, you really have to just focus on your effort, not pay too much attention to what's going on behind you. You can see he has daylight, so now he just has to put one foot ahead of the other. And speaking of, you know whose style he reminds me of? Is Daniel Beckegaard. This, you know, really long, tall guy. Bastien is probably a little bit taller than the other guys in that chasing group behind him, which, you know, can be an advantage on something like the bike where he can generate more power, but can also be a disadvantage because he's just carrying more weight.
Yeah, he's being tracked by Doug Hall, the European manager of XTERRA overall, doing his getting his work in this week. Doug following our athletes on his e-bike out there. And he's about to turn down to the beach, Oliver. I think, I don't want to speak too soon, but I think we're looking at our first world champion of the day, and what a dominant performance from him too. So let's have a look at this race for silver at the moment, because it is splitting up here as well in amongst all this. And I think it is Afonso Silva, the Portuguese athlete, who is striding away from them too. He's starting to put daylight in.
We have Bastien's sister into T2. She is leading the race currently, also from Switzerland. This is a really nice performance from their family.
Hey, don't tell me we're going to get a family double world champion gold medalist performance, are we?
Lara Lovisi might have something about that. The Italian who we see on screen right now is only 11 seconds behind Chloe, and she seems to be powering into this race as well.
My goodness me. Well, his sister, Chloe Lambercier has, I must admit, exactly the same running form by the look of it as well as we see it. Apolline Ramboux, who was last year's gold medalist, is in third. She's in bronze medal position right now, the Belgian. So can she close up? I tell you what, maybe unlike the boys' race, I think this girls' race is a lot closer, and some of those gaps are chaseable on this run.
I agree. This is only 30 seconds and anything can happen. Milena Lindner is in fourth place, also only 34 seconds behind, so that title is up for grabs.
Yeah, that is Milena Lindner running out there, the German in the green tri-suit as well. Here come the next of them coming in as well. Emily van den Busse of France. And then the Czech athlete.
Daniela Beranova, who is also winning the race for in the commentary.
Yep. And this is Mina, I think this is Mina Lee Maysep here, the Estonian, who was, is it Maysep? Sorry, Maysep is in. Mina Lee Maysep was bronze medalist last year. She hasn't, by the looks of it, got herself into that position just yet.
There you go.
She's a very, very strong runner.
There goes Beranova, just leaving T2. I believe Maysep is all the way at the end of T2. That's where she had her bike racked. But I think these are the top girls that we are looking at the moment.
Yeah, there's your top 7, and once again, look at the multinational makeup we bring you here at these World Championships. Only one Italian athlete in there, but a very good one who dominated that bike leg really, but lost ground to Lambercier. We have a brother and a sister who at the moment are leading this, the first of our World Championships today in the Youth A races. It's something we've never had before in the short history of the youth races, an opportunity for one family to snag 2 golds. Can you imagine the celebration in their household this evening, where they'll be staying here in Molveno, I suspect? What a moment.
What a performance for the family that would be. Let's not call it too soon because Chloe is running really nicely, but we haven't seen pictures of Lara or Apolline Ramboux right behind her, or even Milena Lindner, who is also close enough to get this and think about this win. But as we speak, we have Bastien coming in. We don't know what the gap behind him is, but he is powering to this win at the moment.
Bastien Lambercier, the Swissman, who was bronze medalist last year. He's gone on this year to become European champion. He is locked in on gold at the moment, and he's getting some support from everyone around him as well. They're seeing the way he's dominated this, and it's an all-round dominance as well. He's striding out in that long, steppy stride now, but he's looking a very, very confident one right now. He's absolutely bossed the bike leg here today, the Swiss athlete. And Oliver, he is going to be our first world champion today.
He's about to cross that bridge that we had the elites cross. You know, the last thing he had to do there was check the penalty box. Always got to check the penalty box, be professional. No, it's nobody else's job to do that. You have to do that as an athlete. You can always get DQ'd if you don't take your penalty, but it seems like Bastien has a big enough gap to start celebrating here early.
Last year's bronze medalist, Bastien Lambercier, his sister out there, currently leading the girls' race. We'll come back to that after this moment. He's got time to slow down on top of that, the bridge there. Much drier today. Here's the chase behind as well.
Silva's coming in.
Afonso Silva, who's had the incredible run. That's got to be probably one of the fastest runs of the day as well for Silva, who is coming in for silver. But here's the gold medalist, Bastien Lambercier, European champion, becomes world champion here in the Youth A category.
Takes the win, well deserved, really strong on the bike, really nice swim from Bastien. This was a dominant performance.
Yeah.
Winning by 30 seconds on such a short course, you know, only 33 minutes of racing, that's fast and furious.
Well, here comes, he's had time to pick up as well, Afonso Silva, a flag, the flag of Portugal, of course, because Silva racing in for silver. I can't help but call it out just like that. What a run by him. He was in that big pack coming off the bike, but he separated himself from them, closed right up on the gap behind Bastien Lambercier. And we have Afonso Silva in second place and silver medalist.
Really nice performance from Alfonso. He had a strong run. I believe, I don't know what athlete this is actually.
This is
Number
Laurent
7,
Kral. Laurent Kral of Belgium. Where has he come from? No,
What
take it
a
back.
run.
That might even be quicker than Silva's run there.
That was incredible. What are they, you know, Laurent Kral from Belgium. I talked to him before the race. He said he's a track athlete who also races on the road and does some triathlon. He seemed really confident coming in here. He won in Belgium, and this is Paulo Rota coming in for 5th place.
Yep. Next of the Portuguese athletes coming in now as well. I think this is Rodrigo Correia There we go. You can just hear it in the background. The first of the South Africans as well, who've been encouraged and coached today by Conrad Stoltz, I believe. Right, we're going to do our best to bring you these results as they come to us, because I know lots of you will be looking out for the athletes you are supporting from your nation and maybe even from your family, from your school, from wherever you're watching from around the world. I hope you're enjoying watching the first of our World Championship finishes. The girls are still out there at the moment with Chloe Lambercier. Where is she? We focus still on the finishing straight, but we'll cut back to the girls' race fairly soon. They only started 3 minutes after this lot.
Yeah, the girls should be coming in really quickly. Let's see if Chloe has been able to hold on to that lead. Laura and Apolline behind her might be able to push her for that win. Here we see Chloe, and I think she's probably still leading the race at this point.
Yep, she is catching some of the boys who are further down in the field as well, and she's looking good. At the moment, she is taking that descent, the kind of rocky, cobbly descent that takes her down to the beach. She's not quite at the beach just yet, but it will not be long, and she is in gold medal position at the moment. We've just seen her brother, Bastien Lambercier, become world champion to add to his European title.
That was the second girl. Yeah, that was the second girl in third place.
Yep, and that was, well, Apolline Rambu there, I think, is moving back in towards third place. She was the gold medalist last year, don't forget, but she's been really severely challenged today by Chloe Lambercier, but a great performance we're seeing from our leading young women here.
I'd say the girls still have about 1 kilometer to go or something like that, so this race is still open. Somebody can have a little cramp, you know, you can run out of energy having gone too deep on the bike, anything can happen, so let's see if Chloe can pull this off.
Yeah, of course, we don't wish that on anyone, but you're absolutely right. They are competing for a world championship here. This is effectively elite youth racing, because it's not just an open race. They've had to qualify at their XTERRA rounds all around the world to get here. These are experienced racers as well. Despite the age category being 14 to 15, it is an elite youth field, if you know what I mean, Oliver.
It's completely elite. You know, some of these young kids are going to be quite professional about some of their training. You know, training with power meters, heart rate monitors. I know when I talked to Laurent, he said he even has some nutrition for the bike, you know, that he's thinking about. Minali said, oh, you know, I'm not taking any gels, but, you know, electrolytes in my bottles and doing some caffeine before the race. You know, that's quite a professional approach that, you know, we see here at the World Championships, and that's kind of what can get you a good result, you know, top 5, top 3, maybe even a World Championship title.
Now, don't be put off by the slowing of the cadence here of Chloe Lambercier, because that is actually a deceptively steep ramp, that, and then she's straight down into the long, leaning in, striding out descent here. The shot from the helmet cam here is too high up to really give you an indication of how steep that is there, and you can see how much water and mud there still is on the course from all the rainfall we've had this week.
Yeah, still a lot of standing water on the course. You know, that can, as I said, that'll be quite defining, especially on the bike. Here we're not really seeing that many technical sections being taken by the athletes. This course is much more runnable than the ones we saw in the elites, but I would say it's actually quite comparable to the one we saw in the short track, you know, where that was just a fast and furious course, a lot of fast running involved, and that's what we're seeing from Chloe here.
Just to say, by the way, if some of you are watching, wanting to see the results of the boys' race as well, or any of the races this week, including today, get yourselves to results.xterraplanet.com. It's the dedicated results database of everything XTERRA. You'll find all the results there. So if we're not picking out the athlete that you want to follow, go and check it out there, because they'll be being uploaded as soon as we can. Here we go. The second of the Lambercier athletes is locked on for the finish. We're not yet seeing at the moment how well the chase is going, because I have to say, Apolline Rambu looking like she was eating up the gap, and it is close. It is going to be close. We're watching at the moment Chloe Lambercier side-on shot. She's still catching some of the boys who started 3 minutes ahead of her, and she's looking good, Oliver, at that shot there.
Chloe, you know, I have to say, has a nicer running style than Bastien. You know, I hope I can put that out there into the field.
I tell you what, you've just caused a real problem at their dinner table.
At the dinner
tonight,
table,
you know
it's going to be rowdy, but I think they might be happy, because I have a feeling they will be celebrating 2 championship titles today.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, actually, I think Bastien's running style was better than Chloe's. I've just done that to make sure, just to make sure everyone's happy. I don't want any of these young athletes going away thinking we haven't bigged them up. We should be bigging them up because we're looking at one family who are, unbelievably, one family who are going to take 2 world titles here in Mulvano. It is remarkable. It's, well, to my knowledge, it's never happened here before. I don't actually know whether it's ever happened in the history of XTERRA. 12. We'll have to hand that back over to the other. Well, you're a good enough geek. You should be able to drill down into that kind of data. We'll look it up and try and find it out. But the Lambertiers, the Swiss family, are just about to do exactly that. And look at Chloe Lambertier. She looks as relaxed as you like as she runs along the beach, like she's out for a Sunday afternoon chill. And yet it is still only Sunday morning here in Italy.
What an awesome performance by Chloe. She only has about 200 meters to go. She's going to cross the bridge, and she can look behind, see if anybody's chasing her. You know, maybe Apolline is close by. Maybe it's Lara or Milena. We don't really know because we haven't gotten the shots just yet, but this is her moment to celebrate. Here we see the athlete in second place, actually. But let's focus in on Chloe and bring her into the finish line.
She is in the finishing straight. Her brother has already won his world title today, and she may not know that, and it won't bother her either because Chloe Lambertier is going to become world champion. And what a moment for her, for Switzerland, and for her family, who now have a son and a daughter who have become world champions here today. And how close was that behind? We didn't realize how close it was. Apolline Rambaud, last year's gold medalist, has just come in second, and that was close. This is Milena Linder, the German athlete, who's also had a brilliant run, so that was very, very close. The hug before the finish line, Oliver, might have actually...
Could have cost the title. I mean, that was, you know, a couple seconds just separating the girls at the finish, and this title can mean a lot to a young athlete like this. It's really nice to compete, really nice to get out there, but there's a lot of emotions running there, and Chloe deserved this title so much.
There she is. I think the moment just dawning on her that she's become a world champion. Emotional.
Just wait till she talks to her brother.
Well, I mean, where is he? He needs someone give her a hug down there. Our finish line announcer, Chun, there, just helping her to settle into her newfound status as world champion. I've not done it. Oliver, have you done it?
No, of course not. I wouldn't be sitting here in this booth if I had.
Well, you're kind of like, you're becoming a world champion of co-commentary, but you're not there yet. You're in sort of bronze medal position. You just got to keep working at it. Look at that, though.
Oh, my
yes, yes, the hug was close.
Oh,
look how close the hug was. I don't think they knew.
Oh,
I don't think they knew.
That was like 3 seconds.
Oh.
I mean, come on.
Oh, I tell you what.
Oh, my
Wow.
goodness.
Apolline Rambaud was so close. The defending champion. Wow. If that hug had been held any longer.
Oh, imagine if one of her other family relatives was there. It was 2
my
hugs.
goodness.
She may not have been world champ.
Oh, wow. That race came together right at the end. Wow.
Well, that makes me excited for the Youth B and the juniors.
Somewhat. What a race. What a race. Yes, they go longer with the Youth B and juniors. There'll be a little bit of a gap between our 2 broadcasts as well. But look at that. Gold and silver there. Apolline Rambaud, the winner 1 year ago, but she has been really challenged here by Chloe Lambertier. What a talented family that is. We need to find out, if we can, Oliver, we need to find out a little bit about maybe mum and dad and the background to that family, because my suspicion is there's a bit of endurance sport genetics going on there as well. Fantastic racing. What a shot following one of our crew here who's hard at work, doing his work, making sure he's marshalling and ensuring that everything is kept now. What a drone shot that is. Absolutely brilliant. And breathe. There's the top 10. There's the top 10 of the boys' race. We mustn't get confused here because we've got a Lambertier at the top of both the boys and the girls. What a day out for that family. What a race. 33 minutes for the whole triathlon.
That was fast. Alfonso Silva, second place. Laurent Kroll, Mattia Aconfonza, Tommaso Frizzi, and Paul Rotter, Rodrigo Correira, Matthew Radcliffe, Adam Shishka winning the commentary race from the Czech Republic, and Linus Gash rounding out the top 10. Really strong boys.
Yeah, we're just going down a little bit further from there. The leader after the swim, Lorenzo Cocchi of Italy, was in 11th, and Malik Hatschke of Germany, just ahead of Andre Martins of Portugal and Oliver Goodman, the first of the Goodman brothers to be competing here today, the British athlete in 14th. And I believe the Goodman family, who already had a world title in the youth Bs and juniors last year through Findlay, only just got here in time this week after having some problems getting here as well. So good to see Oliver stepping up to 14th place as well.
On the women's side, Chloe, as we said, Lambercia in first place, Apolline Rambu second, Milena Lindner in third, Lara Livosi in fourth, held on after that really impressive swim. Daniela Beranova again winning the race in the commentary, fifth place for the Czech athlete, really strong. Emmy van der Busche in sixth, Lea Fabro seventh, Minali Mesep in eighth, Eliška Resetarova in ninth, and Miley Aise in 10th.
And look at those mountains. We are already looking forward to Ruidoso in New Mexico next year, but it will be very, very different to this setting as we look up to at and beyond 3,000 meters of elevation up there, freezing cold up at the top. And up there, they'd be looking down on this down here, which is fresh. It's not cold, particularly on a day like this in the sunshine, but it's fresh mountain air. The water in the lake is cool. It's been fed by all the rainwater that's fallen the last 3 days. Oliver, I just can't believe the scenes we're looking at, because the last 3 days we have had an awful lot of rain. It's part of the reason why it's so lush and green in the forests of the Paginella Bike Park around the edge of Lake Morveno here. But it's been wet. You and I have been sat here in our commentary position wearing all of our wet weather gear, woolly hats and everything. We are still in our little tent on the edge of the lake there, just a, well, 3 or 4 minute walk away from touching the eagle you're looking at right now, and we're not having to wear quite as much. It's a lovely sunny day.
It's absolutely gorgeous, but I have a feeling that the course for the Youth B might still be wet. The athletes are going to find that out real soon. Yep. I was on the grounds looking at the tires, trying to figure out what the preferred tire setup for these athletes are. And, you know, they're thinking about it. They know they came early. They did the course recons. They're professional. You know, they did exactly the same thing as the elites did. They chose the right tire setup. You know, they're thinking about their nutrition. How much am I eating during the race? Where am I going to attack? Where can I make the difference? The course is a little bit different, but I have a feeling that we'll probably dive into that once the Youth P starts.
Just to point something out, by the way, for most countries around the world, unless I'm mistaken, these young athletes will be back at school this week. Some of them back at school tomorrow. Just think about that. This is the World Championship. Right, bronze medalist Laurent Kral of Belgium in the yellow and blue there. And then silver medalist Afonso Silva of Portugal. Fantastic running by those two to get themselves up into medal contention and medal delivery as well. But one young man has stepped to the top step with an absolutely dominant performance as well in this race. Steve Andrews, who you've already heard on the mic here today, has made his way over to the podium presentation in order to congratulate our medalists in the boys Youth A World Championship.
Future of XTERRA and the future of triathlon, right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year it was André Plitz, who's now moved up to the older category as well, ahead of Tommaso Pedrini of Italy, and that man, Bastien Lambercier, in bronze. And that's why we do this. Bastien Lambercier coming and realising that opportunity to win a bronze medal last year, and here he is as gold medalist. He'll know the course. It's not changed very much, if at all. It's a little bit of a tweak round the back of the field there, but he raced on this very course here in Morveno 1 year ago, the Swiss athlete. I assume he and his family have gone away, tweaked, improved, changed. Yes, grown, another year older, another year of maturation, as we call it, and he's come back and he's the world champion.
And especially with these young athletes, you know, another year of your life is a huge part. You know, think about being 15. That's about 7% of your age. If me or Jess age another year, it's 3%, barely of our lifespan. So for these athletes, they grow so fast, and they can, the Lambercier family, I don't know what they've been doing over the winter, but it's really clearly been working. You know, maybe just going back to the difference in the course. Obviously, yesterday we had the elite men's short track, or the elite men's race, and the elite women's race, where we crowned our 2 world champions. But the course is actually not the same as we saw yesterday. There's a little bit of a difference, but it's the same as last year. So the descent has been taken out. There's been a new descent introduced yesterday, which, yeah, a little bit more muddy, a little bit more switchbacks, maybe a little bit more sketchy for some of these athletes to contend with. And so since we don't really want, you know, these young athletes crashing out, you know, maybe some of them aren't riding the same bike sizes or don't have the access to the tech that some of the pros have access to, although many of them do, and many of them have, you know, similar bike handling ability. We just wanted to, you know, make sure that the course was all safe but also really fun. So we have a course that is the same as yesterday, just taking out some of the mud, because if you saw, you know, I'm sure that a lot of you watched the footage from last year or from yesterday. The age groupers were just covered in mud. It was a complete mud fest. A lot of the men's races we had at the first decisive part after the uphill, coming into the route section, and all of them had to get off their bike. Here we see the top three girls: Chloé Lambercier in first place, Apolline Rombu in second, and Milena Lindner rounding out the podium. Really strong for these girls. And imagine coming in to school on Monday and telling your classmates, "Hey, I won a medal at the World Champs."
Or not even coming straight out with this. Like, what'd you get up to the weekend? Oh, you know, well, I went to the Dolomites in Italy. What were you doing there? Oh, it was a triathlon. Oh, yeah. Were you racing then? Yeah, I raced in it. Oh, what was it? It was a world championship. Oh, how'd you get on? I'm the world champion.
Pretty impressive.
Not bad, is it?
Not a conversation I've ever had.
No, but it's a conversation they can have around that table, that family.
Twice.
Amazing. Incredible. It is absolutely amazing. It's not just because, obviously, Bastien Lambercier and Chloé Lambercier, I think we can say that. There they are together. I think we can say, well, we know, because triathlon is actually quite fair across the three disciplines. Mm-hmm. They are the two best athletes in these World Championships in their age category, the Youth A category, 14 to 15. And whatever's gone on in that family, I have to say, the training, the preparation, the genes, there'll be an element of that to it as well. I tell you what, that is quite a turn up for the books. One family locking out both gold medals.
They've done it right over the winter. Prepared right. You know, there's clearly an element working there.
Yeah.
Leads to good results.
Yeah, and of course they've also benefited from this being the fourth and final time that we're here in Molveno, because they competed in those first World Championships for the youth category last year and have come back this year and absolutely bossed it. There's that top 10. Chloé Lambercier following up in her brother's footsteps, although she might not even have known it, but what a sprint finish while she was having that hug before the line. While she was still having the hug, last year's world champion Apolline Rombu of Belgium was already charging down the finish. And I can't help but think, Oliver, as Rombu came into that finishing straight, she may have even seen Lambercier having the hug and thinking, I'm going to have this.
Imagine the drama if she took that win.
The parent would have to, I presume it was a parent there, would have had to push her through the finishing line tape just to make those. Oh
my word!
Can you imagine? I don't know what we'd have done in commentary if that had happened. We'd have been screaming.
Screaming, probably.
As it was, we didn't realise just how close it was, did we?
Exactly. It's Apolline ran an incredible race. You know, so consistent on the bike and on the run to close that gap that she had coming out of T2.
Yeah.
Strong athlete.
And look at that once again. We're just looking at it on our screen. You'll probably see it again in a moment. But it is remarkable. In this, the second edition of these Youth World Championships here in XTERRA, how multinational that top 10 is as well. It is incredible. Right, now listen. Do not forget, of course, the next and final of our World Championship broadcast here from Molveno in Italy is coming up. It's going to be in a separate YouTube broadcast as well, so make sure you join us. It won't be long, and that will be for our Youth B and Junior races, and they are upcoming. Thank you for following this, the Youth A category World Championships here in XTERRA from Molveno in the Italian Dolomites. My name's Jez Cox. I've had Oliver Tonda with me here. Do join us for coverage of the Youth B and Junior race upcoming.
I'm so excited to watch that race. You know, this Youth A has been incredibly exciting. I have a feeling that the Youth B is going to be a cracking race.
Make sure you join us for it. It'll be very shortly starting as well. So for now, though, from here in Molveno until we bring you that live broadcast very shortly, take care and bye-bye.